My entitled mother-in-law and sister-in-law demand that my fiance dump me, all because I got into a car accident, claiming that my fiance shouldn't be forced to take care of me for the rest of my life and that she would live a better life away from somebody with such injuries. But after my fiance chewed them out and put them in their place, I busted up laughing, causing them to hate me entirely and want nothing to do with me. So now I'm questioning whether I'm the jerk for laughing at them after they got put in their place, because right now I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So I'm a 27-year-old male and I'm getting married to my fiance later this year. She is an incredible woman and I'm the luckiest man alive to have her in my life. Unfortunately, she comes attached to a very entitled and self-absorbed family. I genuinely don't know how my fiance ended up as amazing as she is with these people around. The main players in this conflict are my mother-in-law and sister-in-law to be. When my fiance and I announced our engagement last year, my sister-in-law had a complete breakdown, throwing a full tantrum that she deserved to get married first and my fiance should be forced to wait. Now, I was so confused by this reaction, but my fiance just looked bored, which confused me even more. Apparently, her sister does this a lot when she feels she deserves something more than my fiance, and my mother-in-law took my sister-in-law's side, saying that dating wasn't as easy for her. My fiance always tells them off for being annoying and ridiculous, and they hate it, which is always funny to me. So with that bit of background out of the way, here's where I might need some help. 3 weeks ago, I got into a nasty car crash, and my left leg is broken in multiple places. The doctors say I'll likely have a permanent limp even after I heal because of how bad the injury is, and I might even need a cane. My fiance is an absolute angel and has been by my side every step of the way. I'm going to need a couple different surgeries and some serious physical therapy before I can properly walk again, and she's been pushing my wheelchair since I got home. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law stopped by yesterday, and that's where all the trouble is. My sister-in-law suddenly asked my fiance when she would be leaving me, and she said this flat out while I was still in the room. My mother-in-law also chimed in saying a wheelchair or a cane would look horrible in wedding pictures, so it would be best for her to cancel and leave. And when she said this, I was completely horrified. Now, I didn't even get to open my mouth before my fiance went absolutely ballistic at her mom and sister. She told them that they were delusional if they believed that she was that shallow. She kicked them out almost immediately, saying that she was done and over their garbage. I mean, they both looked like they sucked on extra sour lemons, and I couldn't help but laugh at their expressions. And this was apparently what did it for them, and they both huffed off, still insisting they were just looking out for my fiance. I laughed for a couple of minutes before finally calming down. My fiance just looked so exhausted, so we had some cheer-up snuggles. I've been getting messages from my sister-in-law all day saying that me laughing at them wanting my fiance to not have to spend the rest of her life looking after me was completely uncalled for, and I'm just a jerk for that. She makes it sound like I'm completely paralyzed and that I'll need 24/7 care until I pass away. But I don't think I did anything wrong. So honestly, am I the jerk for laughing at them in the way that I did? Because at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Before we go any further, the original poster actually has an update. Here's what they had to say about the situation at hand. Okay, so this thing got a lot more attention than I thought it would, considering how dumb the whole situation is. But actually, I'm glad it did, because I've been reading the comments with my fiance, and we're both seeing how messed up her mom and sister's behavior actually is. She said she hadn't even thought about going no contact since she was just so used to their garbage, but now we're really talking about making that happen. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law have also officially been uninvited from the wedding, which they did not take well, especially my mother-in-law. My sister-in-law is blocked on my phone now, but her and my mother-in-law still message my fiance. It's a little hard for her to block them completely just yet, but we will keep working on it. And for those who have asked where the father-in-law is during all of this, I honestly don't actually know. He divorced his wife a long time ago and doesn't have contact with her or his daughters anymore. My fiance says that she doesn't care or miss him because he was just as bad as her mom and sister. Now, lastly, for those asking, yes, I absolutely did spoil my fiance later after they left. I already mentioned Snuggles, but we also got her favorite takeout and binged this new show that she's been wanting to check out. So with all things considered, everything is starting to go pretty well. Wow, the mother-in-law and sister-in-law in this story are so out of line. Like, they seriously went up to this fiance and said, you need to dump this guy right now. And here you are sitting in the room, like, listening to all this. Like, I can't imagine being talked to like that, especially as if I'm not in the room. But my God, it sounds like your fiance is awesome. She had your back almost immediately. Before you even had a chance to respond, she had that on lock and absolutely knew exactly what she was was gonna say. So hopefully these people don't play a big role in your life, because seriously, they sound incredibly toxic. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. I am so sick of entitled people coming into my coffee shop only to then be ignorant to how we handle our orders. And I'm honestly so sick of it that I now seriously don't know what to do. So I work at a cafe where we sell coffee as well as bagels and pastries. We get quite busy as we are a popular location, and sometimes whoever is on the bar will be over a dozen drinks deep. We try to work as quickly as possible to reduce wait times, but obviously things can happen. Well, I have an entitled couple who come in frequently, and they give me the same issues every single time. They will clearly see a long line of drinks lined up to be made, and I have clearly told them in the past that there's quite a few ahead of you, but if you keep your ears open, you will hear us call out your drinks, or I'll flag you down myself. And despite the fact that they have just ordered only 2 minutes ago, they will come up to the bar and say to me, "Is this my mocha?" But of course, it's definitely not. I loudly and clearly say that this is a different drink. They'll then come up to the bar and just stare hard at whoever is making drinks and interrupt the workflow to say, "I'm waiting for my mocha." And I think to myself, yes, that's wonderful, but I have yet to call that out. I haven't once said mocha, and you're still in line. And the kicker is, once I finally call their drinks out, they are nowhere to be found, or they're just not paying attention. While we're quite literally yelling that their drinks are ready, and we're not doing it in a rude way, they're just staring into space while their lattes sit and get cold or lose their foam. When they finally arrive, they are genuinely so surprised that their drinks are now cold. But like, I'm not a waitress and I don't do table service. Come to the bar if you want to get your drink. I don't have time to hand deliver your stuff to your table. They simply don't listen. I've had a whole party at a previous cafe that I worked at come up to order, and one person would say, "What's the soup of the day?" But then I would say, "Unfortunately, we do not offer soup." Then I swear to God, the entire party one by one keeps asking me what soup we have, and it all just feels like I'm getting messed with. Having to repeat quite literally half a dozen times that we don't have soup because nobody is listening to me or acknowledging the info I give them is honestly insane. If I have to call out one more drink, only to then be met with a confused, blank, lead-poisoning stare, I'm honestly gonna lose it. And I'm sure that anyone who's worked a service industry job can definitely relate. Yeah, I can't stand people who act like this. They very clearly are trying to cause problems and like get ahead of the line, but then when their stuff is actually ready, they are literally nowhere to be seen. Like, they drop off the face of the map and they're just off somewhere else doing who knows what. And then they get upset that their stuff is cold, but it's like, dude, I called out your order like 5 times. Where were you? And the thing is, I'm sure these people probably move like super fast. Like, they know how to make these drinks and get it ready properly in probably a short amount of time. But expecting it right after you order it is insane. Like, that doesn't make any sense, and you're not helping anybody by acting that way. So yes, I totally relate with what you're saying, and I totally understand why you're frustrated. Because acting like this is so out of touch, and it is so frustrating to have to put up with it. Am I the jerk for refusing to take part in the joint baby shower that my aunt strongly wants to throw for me and my 2 half-sisters? Because I'm convinced that this will only cause problems. Here's what happened. I'm a 26-year-old female and I'm pregnant, and so is my 2 half-sisters who are 27 and 29. Our shared aunt asked each of us individually if she could host a baby shower for us. My 2 half-sisters said yes, and they only said yes thinking it was just the 2 of them. My aunt told me that it was going to be a surprise that all 3 of us would be the guests of honor. I asked her why she would surprise them like that, and she said it's because they never get to see me and haven't seen me at all since I became pregnant. So she felt it would be amazing for 3 sisters getting pregnant at the same time. And since we would be due at around the same time, we should have a joint shower. Now, for some background, my half-sisters and I share a dad. He and their mom were on and off again, and during an off period while she was pregnant with the youngest of my half-sisters, he met my mom. He ended up marrying my mom super fast, and then a couple of months later, I was on the way. My half-sister's mom also married around that time, and they live with their mom and stepdad most of the time and spent every weekend with me and my parents. Now, we were not close growing up. My dad had a good relationship with them, and they adored him, but they never wanted me around. Because we were so close in age, we were often put together and people assumed that we were close. They would leave me behind, ignore me, and act like I wasn't even there. They acknowledged their half-siblings born through their mom as siblings, but I was never even acknowledged as a half-sibling. If we were around dad, maybe, but definitely not when anyone else was around. Family vacations used to suck suck because we would end up sharing a room and they would tell me they didn't like me or want me in the room with them. They would say I ruined their sister time. Now, nothing has changed between us as adults. My dad is disabled from a terminal illness, and that meant casually being in the same place has decreased a lot. It hasn't gone unnoticed by the extended family, and most of them accepted that this is something my half-sisters want. But my aunt seems to ignore the fact that it's a choice that they made, and not something that is due to clashing schedules or something like that. So she came up with this idea of the baby shower. I explained why this was a bad idea, and I told her very clearly they do not want me in their lives, and they would not have me on the guest list, let alone share the day with me in any kind of way. She told me that I was being ridiculous and they would love it. So I told her that I would not take part in this. She told me it would be fun, and when I still refused, she told me I should be thankful that she wants to do this for me. I asked her why she didn't tell the whole truth then and see exactly what they say, but she told me that I'm being ungrateful and that I'm trying to ruin the surprise. So am I the jerk for turning this down? Because right now I seriously don't know what to do. Your aunt is absolutely delusional. It's almost like she's ignoring all the facts sitting right in front of her face. How can she not know that your half-siblings don't like you? They have made that abundantly clear, and it's pretty obvious that they don't want you in their lives. And the fact that your aunt is like, oh, don't be silly, this is gonna be great. Like she is just blatantly ignoring all of your concerns, and she is only making this worse by trying to make this some kind of like weird surprise. But like that is not gonna go over well at all. Because here's the thing, these half-siblings aren't gonna blame the aunt for scheduling this. What's probably gonna happen instead is that these half-siblings are gonna be like, wow, I can't believe she did that. And by she, I'm referring to the original poster. I guarantee you they'll try to take this out on her and try to make it seem like she's the one that planned this. So in my opinion, I think it's a very good idea to back out of this and say, no, I'm not gonna participate. Because I do not see this going well in the slightest, especially with your aunt trying to make this some kind of surprise. I like my current job and the people there, but I'm starting to think that it's my time to look elsewhere, all because of the restaurant culture and the payout system. But I seriously feel like I'm at a crossroads, and at this point, I'm very unsure of where to go. Here's what happened. So I started a month and a half ago, and it's my first restaurant job as I had previously come from a serving job at a nightclub. I like the people there, I like the customers, and I obviously enjoy serving, but I feel like the restaurant vibe just isn't for me. Plus, I definitely clash with a general manager, even though he's okay some of the time. The thing about my previous job and this job that has me considering leaving is the babysitting and go find something to do mentality, plus the major pay cut in tips. At my last job, we were trusted to get our work done when we saw fit and on our own timeline. We didn't have the manager up our butt saying, go empty the trash, go clean the windows, stop standing around. And at my last job, if there were no customers and my bar setup was finished, I could chill out and do pretty much whatever I wanted. When it came to closing, we all just did what needed to be done. We didn't have an assignment list. And if I preferred shutting down the bar and the other girl preferred cleaning the sales floor, then we just did exactly that. If we both preferred to split up evenly, then we did that as well. It was pretty much self-governed by the waitresses, which apparently I really took for granted. At the new job, they just assign us what they want and we have no say. Plus, the side work is much more, and it's much more time-consuming, and the money we make just simply isn't enough to make up for it. Not to mention that it's gross with all the greasy dishes and sauces. Plus, the tip out is ridiculous. Tipping out $5 to my lazy bar back and paying $5 for parking when I made $300 on a Monday seems very minuscule compared to paying out $20 or more when I barely made $120 at the restaurant. I'm already getting tired of waiting 2 weeks for an $800 check when I could have made that in 2 or 3 days at my last job and gotten cash the same night for it. And speaking of cash tips, we never get to keep ours because we have to pay tip out in cash and use our cash as a bank for the change since there are no cash registers. So it's literally impossible to leave with cash in hand. At my last job, I saved up $40,000 in less than 2 years. I made $800 in my first weekend, and I probably made like $70,000 a year easily, but I've been here for over a month and I have nothing to show for it. Plus, the principle of tipping out the bartender so much when they are allowed to stand around and do nothing while we have to take their liquor stock upstairs just doesn't seem fair. The manager will literally sit there and just laugh with the bartender all morning while barking at us servers to take liquor upstairs and clean windows. And the bartender is either talking or playing on their phone. Meanwhile, the manager made a snarky comment at me when I use my phone for the calculator. My boyfriend, who's a restaurant manager, made it a point to tell me that bartenders are above servers. servers. And I just don't like that, especially since I came from a place where we did everything and made the money to compensate for it. So I think the bartenders can at least take their own stock upstairs before opening. I have been eyeballing the bar across the street and actually had applied there before I got hired at the restaurant I'm at now. And after I talked to my server tonight about their mobile toast system, since we don't have the mobiles, he asked where I serve that uses toast, and we got talking about me being interested in working there. I told him I work across the street and that I would love to work there, and he said to check back in a few weeks. I just don't know if I should go for it since it took forever to get my current job, and I do like most of the people there. I just know that it would be a better fit for me to be in a more laid-back adult environment, somewhere where the managers don't treat their employees as school-age labor mules, where they ask me what I'm doing and then demand that I go clean windows. Because that is something I definitely was used to hearing at high school at a fast food job, but it is not something I ever want to hear when I'm serving. Yeah, the job you're working at right now sounds like they micromanage you a lot. Like that really must be annoying, especially coming from the job you were just at. Because it sounds like your previous job was really like a dream. You were able to get stuff done on your own, you didn't have managers breathing down your neck seeing if you're working hard, and it really did seem like you had a lot of autonomy in what you do. And I've got to be honest, for me, when I'm looking at a job, if I don't have full autonomy to do whatever I need to do to get stuff done, and instead have to check in with a manager for every little thing, then that's like a big red flag that no, I definitely do not want to work there. Because that shows me that they're never going to trust me with anything that I do at that restaurant. They are always going to be on my case even if I do my job perfectly, and it really seems like no matter what you do, it's never going to be good enough. And that's just not fair, especially when you really are doing a good job. So in my opinion, I think you absolutely should go to the bar across the street. It sounds like it would be a better fit for you, and regardless of if you like most of the people at your current job, if they're not paying you the rate that you deserve, then in my opinion, I think it's time to chase the money and go somewhere where you definitely will be happy. Would I be the jerk if I called out my parents for their seemingly double standards when it comes to me and their religion? Because right now I am very frustrated, and at this point I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. I want to start off by saying that this has been a challenging situation. To preface this, I am the only girl of my 4 siblings. I'm 27 years old and I have 2 older brothers who are 39 and 35, and I have 1 younger brother who's 27. While my older brothers are 11 and 7 years older than me, we have always had a pretty close relationship, and my younger brother and I are only 18 months apart. My dad is a pastor, so we grew up in a pretty religious household, which I still really value. I love my brothers and I love my parents. However, there are a ton of double standards, and I have recently been calling them out. For instance, my oldest brother and his now wife got pregnant before they got married. My parents, although really shocked, were thrilled and offered anything my brother may need to help their situation. My dad officiated their wedding like nothing was wrong. My other older brother bought a house with his girlfriend and they moved in together. They needed some help with a down payment, and my parents stepped in and gave them a few $1,000s to help them, with literally no strings attached. Now, when it comes to my younger brother, he is a straight up mess, which is his words, not mine. He has struggled in the past with drugs, self-hatred, and things that go along with that. He has been in and out of rehab and therapy, and has lived with almost every girlfriend he has ever had. My parents get upset, but hardly bat an eye. When it comes to me, I started dating the love of my life about a year ago. I was not a big dater in high school or college, so when things got serious with him, it was a huge deal. He and I have seriously talked about marriage and kids, and he is the first relationship I have actually felt comfortable in. And he and I have made the decision together to move in with each other about 6 months ago. We told his parents, our brothers, cousins, friends, and they are all extremely happy for us. But I had been avoiding telling my parents for obvious reasons. My mom and dad knew that I was moving, they just did not know where I was going. My mom came over to help me pack the other day, and out of nowhere she said to me, "Honey, I need to tell you that we love your boyfriend, but I am unhappy with your decision. It really grieves God." I said to her that I understand, but I'm an adult and I can make my own decisions. She said she understood that, but said that she needed to voice her opinion. She then said to me, "I want to do the mom thing and help you decorate and see the house, but I just can't under the circumstances." I then asked her if she really meant she would never come to my house, even if I personally invited her over. Well, she just looked at me and shrugged her shoulders, saying, "Well, who knows?" And honestly, that really hurt me. It almost feels like selective religiousness. I have been struggling with this for some time, even before the moving in part. I really want to sit down with my parents and ask them if this petty feud is worth a relationship with me and my boyfriend that they claim to love so much. much. Would I be the jerk if I asked them to try and compartmentalize their feelings like they did for my brothers? Because if they don't, I'm just gonna keep my distance. What should I do? I don't think the original poster is a jerk at all, and I don't think you would be a jerk for giving them some kind of insight into how you feel. First of all, straight up, yes, they are absolutely being hypocrites here. If they really believe what they believed, then they would have chewed out your brothers just like they're doing to you. And I'm not saying someone can't be religious and have their own standards, but if you're really gonna try and be like, oh yeah, God is grieving right now, then why did you only treat your daughter like this and not your 3 other sons? This seems very hypocritical, and honestly, it just isn't fair, because there very clearly is a double standard going on here. And if I was in your shoes, I would not only have a talk with them, but I would absolutely point out exactly the way they're acting. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.